Welcome! Welcome to Candid Creoles, where we celebrate and elevate Haitian excellence and friends. Today, we have Gerly Adrien, I must add, the first Black woman elected, the first Haitian American as well, elected city councilor at large for the city of Everett. And Gerly is now running for mayor of Everett, mayor for the people. Welcome, Gerly.
Thank you. Thank you. First of all, thank you for having me.
It is a pleasure. Thank you so much for accepting my invitation. I am so excited about talking with you today. I know I've been reading about you, and you have so many challenges in your position as city councilor at large. First, tell us what that means, city councilor at large at Everett.
Yeah. So, I always break down my role in three different ways. First, is really ensuring that I deliver good service to my constituents, right? So if they contact me, if they call, if they email me, or if they ask me to show up at their house, just being present and available for them to answer any questions or issues they raise. That's the first one. Second is to create city laws, right? So legislative. And there's the state laws, there's the federal laws, but my role is to help create city laws.
Okay.
Right? And the third is to pass or approve a budget, a city budget. And for me, that means an equitable budget. Last year, I decided not to approve the budget because I felt as if when I looked at where the money was going, it wasn't going to help the whole community. So my job is to approve a budget that the mayor creates.
Beautiful.
So for me, that's the three important things as my job as a city councilor.
That's your top three.
Yeah.
Basically. So you want to ensure you give good service and you want to be present and available. And that's really powerful the way you say that. And you want to create city laws that benefits the community, of course. And you also want to pass budget that is equitable for all.
Right.
So when you did not approve last year's budget, what was the response of your colleagues at first?
Right. So first, I will say this. I first reviewed the budget. I then had a town hall. I had a community town hall. I invited lots of residents, and I broke down the budget for them to understand. And then a lot of residents reached out to me and told me they didn't like the budget. They didn't like where the money was going. I had a bunch of residents call City Hall to let them know that they didn't like the budget and to let them know where they wanted the money to go. And then I said, well, the residents have spoken, and I'm going to vote no on this budget. And my colleagues, one of them said, well, it's too late. I was so shocked. And basically dismissed all those residents that called in, and they approved the budget.
So they approved the budget. So you are giving a voice to the community, and then they dismiss that voice, it sounds like.
Exactly. Sadly, that's what they did.
Sadly.
Yeah.
Well, we know, based on the research that I've done about you, that you've been being the first Black woman as the city councilor in Everett, and you defeated two incumbents, which means they've been in that position. They've been in those walls for the longest, and you are a new face. So you were asked to resign last year. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, I don't think anyone in I don't know if any local election, if any elected official within their first 10 months have ever been asked to resign. And as a Black woman, right, that's very tough as the only one. When you're amongst your colleagues who call you every name in the book, who says you're aggressive, who says that I don't belong here. They just always have something mean to say about me.
They even called you, one person even said that you like a cancer. Correct?
Yes. I was called a cancer. I was called I've destroyed the city. I am toxic. Can't work with me. just every name. And I think those labels are usually associated with Black women, and
Yes.
which is hard. But when they asked me to resign, I thought it was a joke.
Because you couldn't believe it, right? You were only 10 months in the job.
Right.
Yeah.
And, the people elected me at the end of the day, right?
Yes.
So I was
people.
Right. And when I was like, and it wasn't just one person, it was 4 of my colleagues, right? But I was very shocked. I was surprised. I thought it was a joke. And then when the newspaper called me up it was like 9:30 at night. They were like, "What's your comment? Are you going to resign?" I'm like, "Oh, this is serious." But I wasn't going to resign. I think as long as the people still want me in this role, right? I'm going to shake things up, but I'm here to stay.
Yeah. So how are you doing in that role?
I'm good. I will tell you, Isabel, every single day when I go see my residents, I call them my residents, the love is so real. Today, I spent all day driving around and people were just so happy to see me, invite me in their homes, talking to me for, and I could see the impact of my role. And that's all I've ever wanted to do. I say this all the time. I didn't do this for money. I didn't do this for title or recognition, but to really do an impact.
Yeah. And they elected you for that, and then you're doing your job.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So just want to learn a little bit about your background. Can you tell us about your background? Were you born and raised in Everett?
So I was born in Somerville.
Okay.
My parents, we moved over to Everett when I was 3 years old.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm 31 now. And so I was raised in Everett. My background is in business. So I have an undergraduate degree in business management from Bentley University. I've worked in corporate America. I've worked in nonprofits. I currently work at a hospital as a finance manager. Okay. I have my MBA in business and finance. And my husband and I, we have a small business, an ice cream shop in Somerville. And we're just about to open our second location in Boston.
So, okay, you are a city councilor. You visit your resident personally. You are a finance manager at a hospital. You and your husband have an ice cream shop, a small business owners, and you're opening a second one. How do you manage all of that? And you're meeting with me tonight. So your time is precious. I get that. And I really so appreciate that you're making the time to meet with me. How do you manage all of that?
Prayer. But I do, I always say God gives me the strength to keep doing, because I feel as every day he gives me the breath to walk on this earth. I can do anything I want to do. So, and being organized, I wake up really early in the morning. I wake up at 5 a.m. every day. Okay. And what's
your first thing to do?
My first thing to do is prayer. My second thing to do is I have an organizer, a planner where I write affirmations. Okay. So I write the date. I write like what I believe in for the day, what I'm going to accomplish. And I always ask God for a skill, or I'll say, God, give me hope or give me strength today. And then I write down my to-do list of all the important things I have to do.
Okay. So in the morning, you're preparing your day every morning. So you start with affirmation.
Yes.
And what's your favorite affirmation? I'm an entrepreneur, so I have been taught the same. It's because you have to prepare your mind, because you don't control what comes to you during the day, but you absolutely have total control of your response. Mm-hmm. And what's your favorite affirmation in the morning?
So I always say, I declare that I'm a strong, beautiful Black woman who can do as she wish, when she wants, with a smile on her face. So.
Woohoo! I love that. And that keeps you going, in addition of your prayers and having the hope and strength and faith, believing that you're doing what's right for your people, right, for your residents.
Right. Right.
That's great. That's great. And so you have a full-time job with the hospital?
Yes, I still work full time.
And so what are your hours with your position as a counselor of Everett?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still remote. So I work remote, and I like to work really early in the morning. My boss knows that, and I usually work up until like around 2-3 o'clock, and then I go out and I knock on doors. Right, so I was been visiting residents, and I just ended at 7.
Thank you for that.
Yes. And then after you, I'm going to go visit a couple more residents. Then I hopefully get home by 9. That's the goal.
And then what time do you go to bed?
Lately, I've been going to bed around 10, 11 o'clock.
Okay. And you wake up at 5?
I'll naturally now just wake up at 5 every day.
Because you've been doing it for so long. How about on the weekends? How are your weekends?
Yeah, I was hoping like this Saturday I could sleep a little bit more, but it doesn't look like it. But I usually like to take Sundays off. Like I go to church in the morning, and then I like to cook like a homemade meal. We go to, my husband and I, we go to like a restaurant that I've been wanting to try. And I love to watch Netflix a lot.
What's your favorite show? Do you have any favorites?
Oh man, right now it's Who Killed Sarah?
Who Killed Sarah? Okay. That is I haven't watched that one.
Yeah, that's really, really good. I was just talking about it with a resident. They were watching it, and I was like, it's really good. Really, really good.
That's great. That's great. Your parents must be so proud of you.
I say all the time, I've always wanted to make my parents proud, to know that when anybody looks at me, they see them. My name is half my mom's and half my dad's. And I feel like my spirit and my heart is like, just like them. If you met them, like my mom, she will always talk about the importance of voting. She's the one who first got me to understand politics. And my dad is the person who got me to love math and business.
Awesome. Wow.
Yeah. So
what are their names? What are your mom's and dad's names?
Oh, yeah. My dad's name is Gerson. So that's where the GR comes from. And my mom's name is Magali.
Magali. Okay. Yeah. So that's why you're named Gerly.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah. Okay, that's beautiful. So what influenced you to get into politics?
Yeah. When we were younger, my mom would, we would talk about families that were struggling. And at the time, I remember like the heating bills would be so high, and it would be winter and we'd be cold. And I'd be like, Mom, who can help us? Who can help people with this? And my mom would be like, those newspapers. I would read the local newspaper. She's like, those people you read about? I'm like, yeah. She's like, the mayor, the city councilor, those are the people. And I said, well, Mom, one day I'm going to be one of them. And so that was at the age of 10 years old. And I've always just kept that dream. Yeah, I've always said I was going to come back to Everett and run for office and help people.
And then you ran, and then you were elected by the people, for the people. That's great. And talking about your mom saying those people who you see in the newspaper are the one, like the mayor, who make decisions. So what got you involved in wanting to be the mayor of Everett? Because right now you are running to be mayor of Everett. What propelled you to make that decision?
After Isabel, I will say, being on the council for a year and a half, I got tired of my colleagues just not wanting to really help the people, right? If you watch my council meetings, I say the same thing. Like, you guys are voting for your own interests. You're not actually involving the people. And I just wanted to fight the status quo. Like I always say, there's this big machine, there's this rigged game that is going on, and I wanted to break that cycle. I didn't want people to lose hope in government, because that's what I saw. People would be like, oh, you can't do anything. They're just there to take your money. And I was just like, no, we can create real changes. And looking at the mayor, and what he can do and what he controls, I just said we needed a better leadership that really, really helps people. And, not just always there, always there. That was something that I felt as if like politicians shouldn't be somebody where you feel as if you can't talk to them or you can't reach out to them or tell them your issues. They should be that person that actually helps you and tries to help solve them. And then I saw the best role for me was mayor.
You are definitely thinking differently because this is really how people see politicians. They are making all the laws, but you can't touch them. They are somewhere so far, like they're not accessible to the people, and yet they are making those laws for the people.
Right.
And yet they're out of touch with the people.
Right.
That's how they see them. So I totally understand that. So why do you think that is? Like they're making decision that is really not for the people. If you have an opinion on that, what do you think that is?
It's a lot of work. Like the number of phone calls I get, the text messages, the emails, showing up to people's house. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of your time, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And if it's easier for me just to make a decision without talking to people, right? It's only going to take me 5 minutes.
Oh, wow.
So I always think it's about time. And then I also think there's a lot of personal interest. I feel like when I vote or when I try to do things, I take out how I personally feel. And I admit to people, I'll be like, hey, this is how I personally feel. However, listening to you, the people, I will vote this way because that's what you elected me to do. And I say that all the time. There are some votes that I personally don't agree with, but I always, when there's something really big, a big decision, I do like a town hall or I send out a text message. I have a text group of Everett residents and I inform them every week about something that's going on in the city. Yeah. And I've done that since the time I got elected.
So your constituents have your phone number?
Yes, my phone number is public. It's on my website. Anybody can call or text me. I believe in, being accessible. I truly do.
Yes. And I totally see that now. Like, I'm so glad I asked you that question because I always wondered. It's not just that it's personal interest. It is a lot of work. It takes time to make a difference for the people because if you don't get to know them, if you don't go knock on their doors like you're doing, how do you know what's best for them?
Right.
They have to tell you because otherwise you are just making the decision based on your based on your own perception, and that's not necessarily true for them.
Right. Yeah. And when you represent, like I represent a city that has about 50 to 60,000 residents, right? Yeah. Imagine even if 10% of those contact you, which they have for me, that's over 5,000 people. That's 5,000 names. That's 5,000 phone numbers, homes. Like it's, and I tell people like today I was visiting people. I thought it would be like 5-minute visits. No, they were like 20 minutes. And so it's like, and people be like, girl, are you rushing? I'm like, no, I'm here to talk. So.
It is so true. Like I am in real estate sales, and when I am calling people I don't know, the calls are very short. But when I'm calling people I do know, they want to say more. And even though I may be on a time clock to make my calls for 3 hours, but because they want to say more, my calls are going to be longer, and that's okay because you want to hear what they have to say. And if it's definitely urgent that I cannot speak, I make it a point of saying, I will definitely continue that conversation with you later if I have an appointment to go to. Because you want to you want to be a listener of that voice, of their voices. Right. That's what I hear you say. So you have 50 to 60,000 residents, in Everett. So what's the makeup, what's the ethnicity of your, of the resident in Everett?
Yeah, so we're a majority people of color, and I am so proud of it. I will continue to be proud. We are one of the most diverse cities in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Right, we have lots of Haitians, Latinos. We have we have a huge Vietnamese population here. I love the diversity of the city.
It is very diverse because Massachusetts is not known for that. Right? Yeah, I have family in Massachusetts and I've lived there for a short time. And I have family in Waltham, and I have family in Everett. And yeah. So I've been several times in Massachusetts to visit my family, and I know the makeup of the state is very different than Everett.
Right.
That's correct? Yeah. Yeah.
Very correct.
That's great. Yeah, absolutely. So when you first studied in politics, you said you were influenced really at a very young age by your mother, right? What your mother shared with you. And then you went to school, you didn't study political science, you went into the business field and finance. So what got you to come back to to run for this position?
Yeah, so I will tell you, I did start off majoring. I wanted to be a lawyer because most politicians are lawyers. So I thought I had to do that. I thought that was the path I had to do. So I did go to political science. I majored in political science and criminal justice with a pre-law focus. And after 2 years, I thought I wanted to be a prosecutor because I thought at the end of the day, prosecutors were the ones who would make the decisions in terms of either putting people away in prison or not. And after a couple of times in the courtroom where I was interning for the city of Philadelphia, it broke my heart, Isabel, on both sides, right? Families losing somebody who's going to prison. And then on the other side, somebody being shot and they lost their family member. Yeah. And I would cry in the courtroom. I could not hold myself together. It was so hard. And I said, you know what? I want to be the person that just changes all these laws. And that's where, again, my love for politics came back, right? Being a lawmaker. And I learned my best friend, who's still my best friend, she grew up in DC and she grew up with this love of entrepreneurship and money, which I didn't grow up with, right? We didn't have a lot of money. So I always felt like money was evil. But she taught me to love it. And when you have more of it, you can do more. And I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and I fell in love with business. And I said I had to study business. I had to, and I transferred. I was in Philadelphia, came back home. I said I had to go to the best business school. And that was for me, Bentley University. And I said, well, I'm going to be a different politician because I have business background.
Yeah. So you read Robert Kiyosaki's book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Have you read Cash Flow Quadrant?
No.
Okay. As a business owner, that's the next one I would advise you to read when you get a chance.
Cash Flow Quadrant. Okay. Is it by the same author?
That's by Robert Kiyosaki as well.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. It's definitely, it's fascinating. You're going to enjoy it. If you like the entrepreneurship side of it, you're going to love it. If you love Rich Dad, Poor Dad, you're going to love it. When our kids were younger, he also has 114. So I had my children read that as well.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm an avid reader, so I try to pass that on to them. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. And so when you said, like, at first your thought were money is evil. And then your best friend help you look at it and change that perception. I always tell my kid is money is good for the good money can do.
Right. Exactly.
That's what I tell them. Yes. Yep. Because when you have it, there are things you can do that otherwise you cannot do.
Exactly.
Not just for you, for others as well.
And that's what we would talk about. We would stay up at night. We have this thing, like, I always wanted a homeless shelter. And so she was like, yeah, when you have money, you can build your own homeless shelter without having to ask anybody or depend on the government. And I was like, yeah, you're right.
So what instilled in you? You definitely have a good heart for the people. You wanted to have your own homeless shelter. You want to hear the residents of Everett before you make a decision, and you will vote for the resident even when you disagree with the vote. So
Right.
what instilled that compassion within you?
You know, I will say this. I feel like, I believe everybody has a purpose.
Yes.
And I truly believe that God, his purpose for me was to help inspire people and really empower them. Like Isabel, like I loved, and people don't know this, but most people don't know this, but I love literally helping people figure out different ways to improve their life. Like I'm big on home ownership. You know, I recently, like I had a group of friends, I was realizing that people would like buy up properties, right? They would save up money and buy up properties. And I noticed that like particularly in people of color communities where I was growing up around, we didn't do that. But in other cities, they were doing that. And I saw this group of young Black people who they would save up like $300 every month. Some of them got like an extra part-time job to do it. And they put their money together and they bought a house together. And so I had this idea with a group of my friends. I said, hey, let's save up money. Let's try to figure out how we can all become homeowners in this group. And we did that. We were able to buy like 3, not in Massachusetts, but for 9 months, we all saved up money. We bought 3 different properties, and it's been cool to do this. And I was just like, and I've been inspiring and helping other people to do this. And I love it because I just feel like I didn't grow up with it. I'm not around it, but I feel like this is one way we can get out of poverty. And I really want to get people out of poverty.
Yeah. And so 3 of you put your head together, make the decision. Huh?
Yeah, 6 of us.
6 of you. 6 of you made the decision to, did you purchase like, each one of you purchased a home or you purchased the home together? I didn't get that right.
Together. So we basically put our money together. We had about $30,000 and we were able to, go to like, the market in a different state and be able to purchase. So we bought 2 homes and we bought a piece of land.
That is absolutely brilliant because, it's in the entrepreneurial world. I also coach people, and I like that you use the word inspire because me personally, I don't use the word motivation. I prefer the word inspiring people because inspiration comes from within. And so you guys actually inspired each other by sticking together with the plan and then move forward. And you bought 2 properties and 1 piece of land.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And then you are building equity together. It's and then you can take your equity and then go invest on your own if you want, or you can grow it as a group of investors together.
Exactly. And there are some people in the group who's never owned a piece of property, right? Or like one person told me, Gerly, no one in my family has ever owned a piece of property, but you helped me do this. And she grew up low income, And for me, and I feel like it wasn't hard to do, right? We had this plan, we saved up, and it was like, people were saving up like $100 and, but I just had this idea and I loved it. And I was so glad to do it.
And there was a trust also. There had to be a trust also amongst you too.
Yes.
Which is important.
Yes.
Which is very important.
A lot of trust towards me.
That's great. That's great. So after this call, are you going to visit more residents or are you going home?
No, I'm going to actually go visit a couple more. Three. I think 3.
You have 3 more. Okay. So I want to make sure I don't take much more of your time. Yeah. So, it is really, there's so much I would like to know. I think the time that is too short. So it's, where do you see yourself? I know now you're going for mayor. What do you see yourself doing for the people as the mayor of Everett?
Yeah, so, I have 7 top priorities, right?
Okay.
And we have specific plans for each of the priorities. I think sometimes politicians like to give false hope, right? Make all these promises. And then it's like, you can't do that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that at all. I want to make sure the things that I say I could do, I can actually help it. So first, we're still in a pandemic. We're trying to recover. So many of my residents are still behind on rent or their mortgages, or they've been laid off. And I think it's really important that we should develop workforce development. And what does that mean? It's one of my favorite words, but it's to really train and help people get into careers that can help them really support their families. So we need job training centers. We need sponsorships for companies to come into our city and say, hey, you know what? We need people. Do you have a list of people that we could call or recruit from? I believe, in my eyes, every resident that walks into City Hall or that doesn't walk into, I feel like it's about if God, granted me the mayor, I'd be that person that would knock on every single door in this city. It may take me a while, but I want to understand everyone's situation and how I can help them. That's me. That's how I see it. So especially after this pandemic, right? Yeah. So many people were affected. Number 2 is to build public trust. I want to be more transparent. I want people to know where the money is actually going. Like, you could look online and say, okay, we spent $50,000 of this month, but this is where it went. And I want you to have a say. I want to be able to put in the budget, this is what the community wanted, where the money goes. So actually give a voice. Yeah. And I want to use data to really help improve the offices. I think that currently right now, people just come to City Hall to either pay their taxes, pay their excise tax, and that's it. It's not a place where they feel like, you know what, this is a place that supports me and that will be there for me. I want City Hall to be like that.
So you want to create the environment that is a warmer environment for them, so they feel like, okay, this is our place to get to the results of what we want, to ask the questions.
Right. The city of Everett's unemployment rate is considerably high for the Commonwealth compared to other cities. And I think as a mayor, that's my responsibility, right, to change that. And number 3, I'll talk about young people, youth, right? I think we don't have after school programs where everybody can participate in the city. We don't have a Boys and Girls Club. We don't have a YMCA. We don't have a recreation center. Yeah, we have nothing. Okay. And I think that's a problem. And I want to fix that.
Because the kids need a place to go after school.
They do. And most important, right? I think every child or every young person that applies for a summer job should get it. I think there's enough money in the budget where they should get that opportunity, right? Instead of them just staying home doing nothing. Let's develop these youth. Yes. Right. I think they're like, if I was mayor, I would see them all as my little babies where I want to see them grow. So I think we need not just summer programs, but year around programs. And I actually want the kids to have a say. If I gave them a little portion of the budget, where do you want the money to go? If you had the money to say, do you want more dance clubs? Do you want more gym activities? Do you want more books? Where do you think the money should go? And I think that will teach them about budgeting and money and where it's actually happening. So that's part of my youth plan. We have public safety. I was just talking to a resident this morning. She feels as if the police officers aren't friendly and there's not enough community forums. I really want a community-driven public safety. Yeah. I think a lot of small business owners need to feel supported because at the end of the day, right, they pay taxes and they help contribute to the city. Yes. And so we need to provide more grants and support, like workshops, and how can we help build you to help return back to our city.
And encourage more people to start their own small businesses as well.
Exactly. And the last two is affordable housing, right? So promoting more home ownership, addressing homelessness, and making sure people can stay in their homes. And then my last, which is my favorite, is creating equal opportunities for everyone. When it comes to city contracts, when it comes to positions with the city, making sure that it looks like the city and that the people, like the city of Everett just talked about their first minority-owned contract. The city has been operating for 150 years.
and the population is a diverse community.
Yeah,
and they just had the first minority contract.
And I'll tell you, Isabel, that's the only reason why that is because for the past year and a half, every month I've been saying, how come none of the money is going to minority businesses? Where's the money going? Where's the money going? You know?
Yeah.
But that's
you're making a difference. You're making a difference. And I love what you said also about the children. When you get the children involved, and okay, let's say if I give you that money, like you said, what would you do with it? Then they will tell you exactly what you must do so for us to show up. Because sometimes we might create something that they don't show up for. Right. But when they tell you, then you will know what they're thinking. You will know how to best invest the money on their behalf. That's really, that's really powerful. Well, you definitely have a great plan for the city of Everett. And I trust that the people of Everett will see that and will vote for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And to conclude, I usually conclude with asking a few questions about, first, I want to know, like, where do you see yourself 10 years or 10 years from now, or maybe 20 if you want to share that?
10 years, I'll be 40. I hope I retire and I can be on a beach and just travel the world. I really do. So
you really do want to do that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you want to travel. You know where that beach will be?
No, not yet. Not yet, but
not yet. Something to think about. And so you're very busy with the business as well. So the business, you're going to open a second one. So where do you see your business in 10 years?
Yeah, we actually want to expand in the U.S. So after this, our goal is to open a location in St. Louis. That's where my husband is from.
Okay.
Yeah, and then after that, we met in Philadelphia when I was living there. He was living there too, so we want to open a location in Philadelphia too. Okay. Hopefully one in the South, and I think then that's it.
Are you opening? So you're not going as a franchise; you're just opening multiple ones.
Yeah.
Okay. And when you say in the South, where exactly in the South? I'm in Southeast Florida. So I'm curious.
No, right. So my husband would love to go to Florida. To go to Florida. I was thinking North Carolina, but.
So you guys will have to decide that. You have to decide what it is. Yeah. So where do you see, we usually have, I usually like to ask 3 questions, and those 3 questions will be about you and about Haiti. Because with your background in Haiti, it's important. But first, we have this group that we like to expand. And I also always welcome any question, any advice that any you may have for our group. Our group is to celebrate Haitian excellence. And we've celebrated you in the page multiple times. So how can you advise us on taking that group to the next level? Because the intention of the group is to celebrate and elevate with the intention of changing the narrative.
Yes.
The international world has about Haiti and Haitian. And I said, we start with us because we have to first change the narrative amongst us about us. Then the international community will follow. So what advice would you give us on that?
I will say continue uplifting us, right? I always tell people, like, usually whenever I start off a speech, I say, I am a proud Haitian American, because we have such a negative connotation to it, right? And I want to change that perception. I've been told, like all these negative words, and I'm like, no. I'm a proud Haitian American woman. I'm a proud Black woman, and I can do all this. And I want you to see, when you look at me, right? I say this, I want you to see my parents, right? who are proud Haitians. And so I would say just continue uplifting. And I will say this. I put myself in uncomfortable situations every single day. Isabel, if you know me, I am shy. I am super, super shy. I'm like behind the scenes. Like, I don't like attention. I don't want to be in pictures. But I try to push myself every single day or learn. I love listening to podcasts. I always put every week I listen to something new that I didn't know about. Like this week, I learned about something new in real estate that I definitely did not know. And it definitely expanded what I wanted to do more in the future. And I continue to do that. Even if I don't like it, I think it's important, great to learn. So that I will say, continue to challenge yourself.
What are your favorite podcasts? Because I listen to podcasts a lot too. Are there any that you listen to religiously?
Oh my gosh. So, okay. So on Spotify, I listen to the Anthony O'Neill Show, which is part of the David Ramsey Network.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And he's a Black man. He talks about wealth and he talks about getting out of debt. But what I love about his podcast is he brings other Black people who are in his space. And I love that.
That's
right.
Awesome.
And then on Clubhouse, if you guys listen to Clubhouse.
Yes, Clubhouse is new. Everybody's into Clubhouse now.
Yes. So on the weekdays at 7 a.m., there's this group. It's a group of Black men. It's called Business Over Breakfast. And they talk about different areas of business, not just real estate. Like this morning, they talked about like Bitcoin and Dogecoin. And they bring up different speakers. And it's just amazing, their stories. And then they allow you to ask questions. They allow this to be interactive. I love it. Definitely changed my view on real estate, opened my eyes to a lot of things. I've been listening to that religiously at least 4 times a week.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, Bitcoins is the new thing. I mean, not really so new, but you mentioned that word, and I was at a meeting the other day, and then the person hosting the meeting, who is my mentor, he mentioned that word, and he's highly, highly successful. So and then you're mentioning it as well. So I like to say when something come in my space more than once, there is a message. Yeah. So I like to obey and then pay attention. So what is the message on that? So yeah, that's definitely something that's interesting. I'm definitely going to look this up. Definitely going to look this up. Because really I totally agree with you. You got to stretch yourself to create something different, because what got you here cannot get you where you want to go. Right. And you said you're very shy. I tell my kids when I was younger, I was shy. I'm no longer shy though, but I had to pull it out of me, because the lady I was years ago would not be having this conversation with you. Right. And I learned to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Right. And then you do that. So 2 questions for you, and then you can answer me one word. How would you describe your life in one word? Blessed. Blessed. Perfect. How would you describe Haiti in one word? Unfinished. 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 Have you been to Haiti? I have. Right. That's great. As you said, unfinished, I was reading a lecture that Frederick Douglass wrote about Haiti based on the time he spent in Haiti. And that's a fascinating lecture. And so much that he wrote is still happening today. And that was from 1895, I believe. That's interesting. Very interesting. And what advice would you have for Haitians, especially those living in Haiti? I would say, don't give up. Don't let anyone tell you no. And I truly believe there's always a way. There's always a way. And on that note, I advise all Haitians to vote and vote and vote for Gerly. And it's in September, right?
Yes, September.
Yes, I posted that today on our page to vote for Gerly, and you're going to be a great mayor for the people. And I wish you the very best in your ventures.
Thank you so much.
And thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone, for watching Candid Creoles. And as always, peace for Haiti and love for Haiti.